Have we heard from Councillor Cleveland? No, okay, he might be here. And then Councillor Dares is going to leave early, but I don't think we need to do we need to do a motion for that one? No. Sure, okay. So we can do that. At the utility meeting, no absent with regrets. Any declarations of conflict of interest, anyone? And you can declare at the time of the agenda item. Okay, and then approval of the agenda. So we are removing 9D with regard to the notice to reconsider, and that will go on the council meeting instead. It's just a governance piece, okay? So that'll just get moved. That'll get moved there. Is there anything else that you want to remove or add, anyone? Okay, motion to pass the agenda. Thank you, Councillor Bell. Second by Councillor Dares. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. So we have two presentations today. The first one is the WREN, the Western Regional Enterprise Network, the Local Immigration Partnership. Welcome, Brenda. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And she did hand out each a package, so we like these packages.
That's good. Thanks very much for having me today. Coming to you today mostly as a way of sharing information about what the LIP has been up to for the past little bit. The LIP was born, the Local Immigration Partnership was born deep in the heart of COVID. So we kind of felt like we did things in a bubble. So I think this is actually the first time that I'm getting out to kind of spread the news. So I'll start with basically what is a local immigration partnership. They're all funded by IRCC, Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, and they're a way, in really simple terms, of making a community more welcoming by bringing together the people, the organizations within that specified region to work together to come up with a strategy or a plan as to how they're going to do so. Which is exactly what we did. So in 2020, the Western WREN applied for funding to IRCC, got 5 years of funding. Of course, with many government funding opportunities, we had to do a feasibility study. After that, once it was a positive feasibility study, we were able to get to work. So I was hired in 2021. During the first year, we set up what we call a partnership council, which are made up of the organizations that have an interest in or are working in the realm of immigration in the particular region. In our case, we had 25 people on that partnership council. We also set up an immigrant advisory committee that's made up of newcomers to the region who make sure that, that what we're working on is actually relevant to the communities that we serve. So to get started, we tried to get as much data as possible. So we did 3 surveys within our community. We did as many, broadly spaced, interviews as we could with as many groups, including employers, organizations, and of course, individuals. All of this was used to create our first 3-year strategic plan. That plan has 3 priority areas that are broken down, as you can see, into attracting talent, employer outreach and support, and fostering welcoming communities. So the attracting talent, we realized really quickly that most people that were coming to this region were coming for either a job or to study. So we went about and started talking to our NSCC, Université de Sainte-Anne, and of course employers about their challenges, their opportunities, the gaps that they were seeing, what they needed support on. Employer outreach and support, as I said, a lot of people coming to this region, probably the large majority of people coming to this region as newcomers are coming for work, which means that a lot of our employers are doing most of the heavy lifting when it comes to immigration. Navigating immigration is not easy for anybody, and our employers are taking that task wholeheartedly. Fostering welcoming communities. This priority area kind of encompassed a whole lot of things, but basically the retention issue. We've heard it before. People choose to come here for one reason or another. They might stay for a couple of years, circumstances change, permanent residencies get granted, and perhaps they choose to leave. What could we do to ensure that they were connecting to our communities? So in each of these priority areas, as mandated by IRCC, we were to establish working groups. So these working groups are supposed to be small, nimble, made up of people who have an interest and a skill set to help advance certain projects within those priority areas. So the rest of the presentation is about what the work that was done in all of those particular areas. In attracting talent, we knew that this area is very well positioned to attract people for a variety of means. A lot of tourism websites are out there. There's a lot of information about coming to visit this region. Each of our towns and municipalities has information about the particular pieces if you chose to, if you're already living or chose to even live. But what we were missing in this region was something that was specifically meant and targeting people who wanted to choose our end of the province versus any other end of the province or the world. So we partnered with the Yarmouth Area Chamber of Commerce, and we had $35,000 approved by Nova Scotia Labour Skills and Immigration, and went to work on some marketing pieces. So some of those included a new logo, photography project. So instead of hiring one photographer and trying to make them cover this entire huge region, we partnered with 4 local tourism associations. So the Digby area, Clare, Yasta, and Barrington, and they hired photographers. And the task was to capture the new diversity that is occurring in our region. We didn't want to use stock photography anymore. We wanted to start using photos of the actual people who are living in our communities. We did a videography project where we chose 3 relatively new newcomers within the past 5 years and asked them the simple questions of why did you come and why did you stay? And for some of those, it was sort of surprising. We actually have them available on our website, which I'll get to in a bit. But one of them, it was a temporary foreign worker from Mexico who worked at Riverside Lobster and basically was missing playing baseball. And he found community in a baseball team in Clare, where they've changed their practices to a point that they're even having their Facebook posts about their team stats available in English, French, and Spanish. So it's pretty amazing. The welcome folders. So I've included all of those on your desks today. Those are meant to be shared with our partners like you. We know that when newcomers come to this region, there is no one-stop shop where it's very obvious where you'd send somebody, but a lot of newcomers end up at town halls, municipal offices, asking about information. We want to make sure that, and so I've left several others with Lindsay as well, make sure that the information that can be shared, as you'll see, what's in there is regional, but we're expecting partners to fill that with things that are relevant to their particular areas as well. I've also left a retractable, it's a tough one, retractable banner that is to indicate where those folders are available. Rack cards, we got some funding to do a welcome guide, refresh and reprint, but the biggest project of all was a new website. So the new website is welcometowesternnovascotia.ca, and again, targeted at newcomers. So it's divided into 5 areas. About, which is a broad overview about our end of the province. Move, so there's contacts and resources. About immigration, the actual moving process, housing, what they can find for settlement once they get here. Live, this is probably the most useful section for somebody who's recently moved here. So it's all about where to pay your taxes, who picks up your garbage, childcare, where you can shop for food, that sort of thing. Learn, we know that education is of utmost importance to many of the families that move here, both for themselves as individuals who want to learn English and for their children. Work, information about how to find work. Like I said, many people here move for one job, but often they are looking for other opportunities. We want to make sure that they can connect to those opportunities in the region. And lastly, Explore, which is the fun stuff. It's the festivals, it's where to eat, it's where to do all the fun things that we all like to do. The website address is found on the cover of all the welcome guides as well. The second priority area is employer support. Like I said, they do a lot of heavy lifting, so we wanted to know how we could help them. We hosted a workshop back in November of last year called the Newcomer Experience Workshop. And we offered it to frontline workers who would be the people who would mostly be seeing newcomers, maybe coming in the door, either at a place of employment or your own organization. We had 25 people attend in person and 5 virtually. We had an iSense facilitator who delivered the workshop. It was really fantastic. It was one of those sessions that I had aha moments throughout the day. It was things that I think we maybe all knew somewhere back here, but all brought it to the forefront. I missed one, but it didn't happen. We were working with IRCC and our Provincial Department of Immigration to deliver an info session to employers about immigration streams, which are really, really complicated. So we wanted it to come directly from the source. We had it set to go, and then the federal government strike kind of preempted us. So it's on hold. It will be delivered. That one was being planned for Digby. We're hoping to do it in Digby and to take the show on the road. The other piece that we did for employer support was there are many steps that an employer has to do to get immigration ready. So it's not just the actual immigration streams and immigration information that they need to know. You have to prove that you have already exhausted all of the opportunities for you to hire in Canada. So that means a lot of steps to get there. Your job description has to match the code that the immigration officials deem is the skill level for the, so it's a lot. So we've created what we are calling Simplified. It's in the form of a quiz. So an employer can go on to this website, it's an online tool, and answer the questions as to, have you done this, have you done that? Yes, no, kind of leads you down the path. Also gives you access to local resources to help you. So if you haven't developed that job description yet, there's a link to all of our Nova Scotia Works offices where the employer engagement specialist can help an employer to develop those tools. Our last priority area was fostering welcoming communities. This one, like I said, it's pretty broad. This project came by chance. One day on my desk, I received it was a pocket size, and I think that's why it's really stood out, a health guide for newcomers. You'll see there's one in each of your folders. And when it came to my desk, it was in French. So I thought, oh, this is a wonderful resource, and I speak French, so I read through it. So I contacted the organization who developed it and asked if it was available in English, and it wasn't. So then we went knocking on doors to see if we could find a funding partner to help us to develop this amazing tool, which goes from how to find how to get your health card to what resources are available if you're going to have a baby. So it's A to Z and everything in between. So we got funding through the Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration. The organization who developed the French guide, which is the Réseau Santé de la Nouvelle-Écosse, they even gave us access to their full design files. They gave us access to their designer, their graphic designer. So it was a seamless, he did the translation, we got it created online, as well as a small print run to kind of get us started. Another, I guess, larger scale project of this committee, of this working group, was our newcomer welcome event that we had on March 25th. I know many of you here were there in the room. The capacity of the Yarmouth Fire Hall is 300, so our goal for this group was to have 300 people attend. And of course, that's always, you aim high. Registrations started coming in really quickly, really early, and they just kept going. We ended up with 240 people registered. I think we had just over 200. And for anybody that was there, it felt like 50% of them were children, but maybe not 50%, but there were a lot of kids there. At one point, we were looking at the registration list and went, oh my gosh, there's a lot of newcomers coming because they weren't all D'Entremont or Nickersons. And we thought, I hope that there's enough locals to welcome them, but there was. It ended up being a really fantastic day. We had food and catering from 8 different local suppliers, and of course, they presented international foods, including Ravi Pie. That's about as international as you can get. We've had amazing, amazing feedback from that event, and I'm really happy to say that last Thursday I found out that we got the same amount of funding to deliver it again next year.
Yes.
So we're hoping that we could just write that into our LIP contract, and that's something that continues year after year. One of the great things, I always have to keep this in notes, we were able to recognize that day 45 new permanent residents and 14 new Canadian citizens who attended. So that was pretty fantastic. Great. So I've done the math. So that works out to, just in the past year, from the work of all of those working groups, about $60,000 of funding for those new projects that we got. We also had partnerships with over 30 organizations. We, I think, achieved moving the needle on making this region more welcoming to newcomers. We have a lot more work to do. That was just the start. So what's next? We are already working on the second annual newcomer event, where there's a speed networking event connecting newcomers to opportunities in the tourism industry coming up. And we're getting the band back together. We're getting those working groups back together to see if the same people are still interested in working on any new projects, or what can we dream up next. So I also wanted to say that many of you know that I was the local immigration partnership coordinator. I have accepted another role with the Western Ren, so I'll be a project coordinator, but I'll always be involved in all of the work that's done here. And I had committed to making these presentations and wanted to make sure that everybody still was aware of what was going on. So if you have any questions, I'm very open to answering them.
Any questions? That was lovely. We're generally aware of how much is going on. And we've attended those, most of us have attended those events. We actually, at the New Year's levee here, there was a ton of newcomers.
Yes.
And there were children, and they were running around, and they each wanted the balloon. We had balloons set up for the new year, and they wanted the balloon, so it gave them something to do, and they met new friends, and it was just, it's just important that people know what's going on and we share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks for everything you do, Brenda.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
Bye.
All the best in your new role.
Thank you.
Derek, Councillor Lesser, you had a question?
Not really a question, just a comment. The local lingo part is really neat in this.
I know.
'Cause there's actually things on there I didn't realize. And then like the Sobeys bag is interesting because we don't really have Sobeys bags anymore.
You know what's funny? When I grabbed this, I thought, oh, is that really a Sobeys bag?
All right.
Not really what we call the Sobeys bags, but yeah.
I guess the question I do have is, this is a very hard document to make. That's going to be like as a living document because it's going to change so much. Is this information electronic online?
It is. It's electronic online as a flip book.
Okay.
So much of the same information is available on the website, which we can control and change and update as we need to more quickly. The flip book, it actually is an online version of that book. So yeah, it will have to wait for, and of course changes have occurred since we've actually printed it.
And this is available for us to give out to anybody online? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and our next group is the interactive accessibility map with the TAP students. So welcome.
Yeah, I'll come. Hey, we're finally back after, we did a presentation here with TAP. So my name is Charlie McLaughlin,
And I'm Ryan Timbo.
and here is our accessibility map that we developed for the town of Yarmouth.
So a little about us before we start with the presentation. We're both TAP students for YCMHS, and basically TAP is just a pilot program for students like us who are really interested in technology. And this allows us to incorporate technology into our studies wherever we see fit. That can mean like used for projects, whatever you can think of really. And it's been a great success so far. Yep.
So here's our proposal and our project idea. So we've been in development of a map of all the accessible locations in the town of Yarmouth. So this is around a 3 to 4 month project, and it is constantly evolving as we can go in and add more points. And we developed this using ArcGIS software. So it will we already had a map laid out and we just had to add to it. And this is all available on the Get Involved page on the Town of Yarmouth website.
So these are two pictures of our map when we first started, and now today when it's all updated. So in the beginning, we were just learning how to use ArcGIS, and we actually started on a story map rather than like a regular map where you could add points and everything. So back then, we just had we wanted to document everything as we went through, and so we had a few points there, and then we learned that we can actually branch off, and there's so many possibilities on ArcGIS, and we're exploring at the same time as gathering all the information and everything.
So I'll outline some of the features that are on the map. So it has every accessible parking location in the entire town. It has accessibility information of most of the restaurants, stores, cafes, and entertainment facilities in the town. Accessibility information for banks, museums, government buildings, schools, and healthcare facilities. And a marked path of the Yarmouth bus route, including accessible stops. And you click on a point and it will give you a little blurb. And if we're missing points as well, we can go back and we can still add them, and it'll live update, so we don't have to go through a lot of work to add more points.
Yes, very useful. So it also includes accessible sidewalks. We're currently going through right now, because obviously there's a lot of sidewalks in Yarmouth. But that's we're receiving feedback for each sidewalk, and then we're going to go through and mark them as accessible, not accessible, or difficult. So basically accessible would be so ramps at the end of the sidewalks, if it's not too steep, just conditions, stuff like that. And I guess difficult would be if there's more slants involved, and then not accessible would be if there's no ramp at all. Because I've actually seen, right across the road there by the library, that sidewalk there, you have to lift people up over the curb. There's no way to get on that if you're coming from where the parking spots are. It also includes recreation areas. That would be like parks, fields, anything like that. There's trails, there's gas stations, there's hotels. Well, there's only 1 or 2 accessible washrooms in Yarmouth, but we have that as well. And each of these layers are you can toggle them on and off. So if you don't want the whole clutter and you're just looking for one thing, you can just toggle it on or off. There's also a search option. It's kind of a little glitchy.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure that out, but we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, and then the search option will take you to the rough location of the location you're looking for.
Yeah.
So it does work, but there's a little work on the user's end to get it functioning. So a little other information, we are currently doing more field research and talking to local business owners to learn about the locations that are and aren't accessible. And we have been receiving feedback. The deadline for that closed a couple weeks ago. So we've been receiving feedback from the public and implementing it into our map. And it's all available to the public on the Get Involved page on the Town of Yarmouth website. And feedback is still available for the public, just in case, because we can still update it. So any feedback is so great for us.
Yeah, definitely. We've really appreciated all the feedback we've received already. It really helps us because it's a lot to take on for 2 high school students, but
Yeah.
it's something we're passionate about. It's nice to see that other people care about it too. So thank you for your continued support, and we're going to leave it up to you guys if you have any questions. And also, we're going to show you a demo of the map on the Get Involved page as well.
Yep.
But we'll leave it for questions first if you want.
So, I'm just looking for lights. So you're really committed to this, but what are you thinking for the future?
Well, it would be nice if we could approach other regions in Nova Scotia. Because we can constantly evolve this, but if we approach other municipalities in Nova Scotia and we say, hey, we'll develop this for you, maybe a little monetary support, and we can sort of expand this we can expand this. If we have the right software, the right tools, we can absolutely expand this.
Yep.
So-
And, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we're looking to maybe ask for some help with funding because our ArcGIS, I guess, accounts are going to be deleted soon because they were part of like the school software. So we might have to maybe get some business partners or something like that along the way. But yeah, as far as like updating it, that's all up to us now. Yeah.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
This is, this just blew me away. Unbelievable. Great work. So when I ask, I'll ask the second question then. So what are your career paths? Because of like you just seem so committed to technology and these things. Like, what are you thinking?
So next year, I'm going to start a 4-year computer science program at Dalhousie, and I hope to either start my own business or enter the tech industry and, help like drive the future.
So I'm doing 2 at NSCC for IT programming. This is here at the Burridge campus, and then
Wow.
I plan on doing 2 at Dal for applied computer science as well.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I got some more questions, but you go ahead there, whoever's, Councillor Dares. And then
Thank you. I just want to mention on behalf of the Accessibility Committee, we've seen this presentation, and the Accessibility Committee members were absolutely thrilled. You put Yarmouth on the map, and congratulations. And I can see where the other communities are going to be reaching out to us, looking for your advice. So thank you so much for what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I just want to say that it's been an absolute pleasure working with TAP through the years that you have been there. And as you guys graduate this year, it's just been a pleasure. And this is fantastic, but there's more to come from all of the TAP students who have been involved. And I'm really sad to see the actual program itself come to an end for now, but hopefully that'll change at some point. But just congratulations and best of luck. And I know we'll be hearing a lot from you in the future.
Thank you.
So,
I guess now we can go to the Get Involved page. If Charlie, if you want to like talk over some things, then I can.
Yeah, if that's available for us to do.
Sorry guys, I got this plan on our laptops and then we realized we were going to use our laptops.
it's all good. You should watch us try to get onto ours.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So here's the full layout of the map, and this is every single layer enabled. So as you notice, it's very cluttered, right? But thankfully, we can turn all of these on and off. We're still tinkering with the legend because we understand that the formatting is a little, it's portrait, and we're trying to get a little more landscape so that the legend will be on the left-hand side, and you can just toggle it on and off. But I believe that's an issue with the interfacing of the Get Involved page rather than the actual programming itself. So you can zoom in, and all the sidewalks, we're still working on, accessible, not accessible, difficult, but they're all color-coded based on, blue is difficult, red is inaccessible, and green is accessible. Yeah, and this includes, from Water Street to Main, those are all fairly difficult. We have some points on, basically all of Main Street is mostly mapped, but we are still waiting for, more feedback or to contact more businesses around, and it would be good if this map was even more cluttered. And so you can demo the search option Just search up McDonald's and see what. So what it should do is it'll send us to like the rough location of where it is, but it won't highlight the point yet. So it'll send you there, right to where the point is, but then you just have to click on it yourself. So we're still tinkering with that. And there are some areas on the map where there's 2 points stacked on top of each other. We will work on spacing that out, but you can cycle through if they are stacked on top of each other, so all of them are viewable. And for now, the type of accessibility we have listed is mobility. We can work, we didn't have the resources at the time to include more areas of accessibility. So for now, we just have mobility. Because that was one concern that the Accessibility Council had, was that we only had mobility listed. So possibly in the future, we have more resources, we can highlight other areas of accessibility that different locations have.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. We can expand like as far as we want really. It's possibilities for this. Yeah,
Yep.
really have to try that. I think that's
Pretty much it.
Okay, so, everybody good? I have a couple more questions. Go ahead, Deputy.
So I was lucky enough to get the VIP kind of in school and get the go over. So I see you made a lot of kind of progress since then. But I just wanted to say thanks. It's always great when the youth get involved and kind of, are driven by their own kind of, ways or whatnot. So we appreciate that. And it's very important, I think, to the way that you've made the interface a lot easier when you toggle over it or to get it out when you're searching for different things. So I just think it's great the work that you did and the work that your program does, but a shout out to your whole class for, I think this is the second time maybe you guys have been here,
Yeah.
I believe, when you presented before, and it's nice to see how long or how far you guys have come. And just a shout out to the staff too. I know they work really hard to promote you guys and to make sure that you get out and do this thing. And lastly, just for being brave enough to come here. I know a lot of times it's a little intimidating when you're younger, so we really appreciate the work that you did. So thank you.
I'm just going to ask a couple more questions. I'm excited. Do we know why this isn't continuing, the program?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Okay. Who do I talk to about that? So I may as well ask the question, who do I talk to about a program like this? And look what just happened with 2 students, and this isn't continuing.
I think our lovely teacher back there,
So I had Kaylin Langel's name written down here for some reason. Somebody said, is she here? Can't see what, there. I've just heard, I don't want to embarrass you. I've just heard wonderful things about your leadership in this program. And, the deputy said it, but thank you to the whole team. Like, this is not, and I want you two to know, this is not little. This is, I'm getting too emotional. This is huge. This is, like Gil said, Councillor Dare said, you just put us on the map. So Kaylin, if you want to chat sometime, I don't think this is just my personal feeling. You can't leave something like this. Like, this is, you do pilot projects to see if it works. If this isn't working, then I've got the wrong definition of working, and I would accept that. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. So that's one thing. How to update it, you already said that. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there, and this might be for the future because you're still working on this one, and you said that, in the future, you could talk to other municipalities and stuff like that. Mama Mood can probably hook you up there. I'm just saying. And I would love, if it's appropriate, and I think it is, and I would ask again, your leaders, Municipal World is the magazine that goes out all across Canada. It lands on the desk of every elected and every CAO in the country with regard to big things that are happening in the municipal world. I would love to write an article on what you've just done and put that out there. Just be careful what you wish for. You might get busy, but you can always say no. But I think this is a story that needs to be told. I think, you know, what would happen, somebody might mimic it, that's okay, but I think it needs to be told. So
Absolutely.
if you want, we can just, maybe I'll get Lindsay to hook us up and have that chat, because I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say, but I'd have to interview the team and stuff like that, and just write the article, send it in and see what they say. Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, this is just really, I think everybody at the table said it better than I could, you know, when the deputy mayor said to have youth involved, like, this is, and somebody said at the youth well-being conference last week, and he was bang on. We always say youth are our future, that's not even true. Youth are our now, right? So everything you're doing is what we need now to keep moving, so. I'll just stop talking because I get all excited about some stuff and off goes the mayor on a tangent. So thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Lesser.
I actually was not planning on talking because I've talked to you guys quite a bit about the project all the way through. But to answer the question that the mayor asked, I don't think there's anybody regionally that's not, like, I think the school, I'm not speaking on behalf of the school, but I'm pretty sure the school wants to see the program continue. I think their region would like to see it, but if you have contacts maybe at the deputy or ministerial level that you can pass on, that would be.
Yeah, definitely we understand at this table it's not it's a decision that's made at a provincial level, and we understand that. I just would not do that without the support of those that are leading your program. That wouldn't be fair. But I will do it with the support. Are we good? Any more questions for these folks? Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Whew. Okay, we can all go home. I mean, okay, all right. So just so everybody knows, there's no better place to be than a committee of the whole meeting, but you don't have to stay, okay? Some people don't dare to leave, but you can leave or you can stay, and you can leave or stay at any time. You can stay for 10 minutes or the whole time. So thanks to everyone for coming. Only one that can't leave is Bobby Lou. Oh gosh, you got your principal here? Everything. Didn't even see you there. Thanks for coming. Okay, CAO report. Any questions for the CAO? Go ahead.
I noticed on the report, it says incomplete about the playgrounds, the master plan that we I'm just wondering if that's more of a Chad question or whatnot. I know it's getting kind of close, and I know the kids will be down there, and there's some cracks in the skate park and whatnot. I'm just wondering if we got on that or where we're at with that. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's a couple of items in the report that relate to the playgrounds. One is just an assessment, which can be done at the operational level. As far as the master plan goes, I believe Chad was waiting for budget approval because that's a piece of work that probably we don't have the time to do in-house, and it will give us an outside perspective. So a couple of items there. So hopefully we'll have maybe Chad can speak to the status of the actual assessment of that park, particularly, but the master plan will be a longer term project.
Good. Anything else for the CAO? Okay, fire department report, and the chief is here. Anything for the chief? And by the same token, if any of the directors need to come up and share anything. Okay. Operational services, and Chad is here. Anything, go ahead.
Just a comment, not a question, but talks about the rose bushes on Water Street, which you've already mentioned, but what a huge improvement. It's terrible to say, having plants removed, how much of an improvement it makes, but it really made a huge difference on Water Street, so thank you.
Yeah, it's a little cleaner looking.
Go ahead, Deputy.
Just the Vancouver Street project. I know that's a big one that's coming down the tube. Just, I've had a few people ask me rough start date, you know, give or take, or.
That's actually under the engineering
Okay.
oversight.
Yep.
I'd reach out to engineering.
No worries, thank you.
Good. Anything else for Chad? Good stuff. Thank you. Okay, planning and economic development, the report's there. Natalie is away. Engineering. So you can find him, I know, but can you answer that?
I can't answer that question off the top of my head. I know there's a Get Involved page around that project. And so that's the first place I'll look, but then I'll follow up with Demario if it's not on there and clear. Just to explain Demario's absence, he's our representative on the Expansion Project Committee, who are meeting this afternoon, so he
Oh, yes.
sends his regrets.
Okay, is that good, Deputy? Finance. No report, probably because we got a budget. Go ahead, Deputy.
Just more of a comment than a question. Last Tuesday, we met for the big budget meeting, and I mean, that's pretty heavy at times. So a big shout out to Jerry for, I guess for lack of a better term, dumbing that down for us, but making it very easy to understand. And also, if we can and the public can, that's all online for everyone to access if they want to see it. But appreciate the work that goes into that because it makes our job a whole lot easier. So thank you for that.
Go ahead.
And just as well, a comment that I think we all made at that meeting about the milestone of moving to debt-free, while not like the taxes have actually decreased over the 10 years, and we've done some, I say we, not me, but previous councils have done some really amazing work during that time. So lots of infrastructure money going into it, but not going into debt is a testament to Jerry's work. So thank you.
Okay, Yarmouth Recreation, and Frank's not here, but there's a report attached, and we can reach out. And strategic priorities for information only. You good? Go ahead.
Your Worship, with your permission, I'll depart now. Thank you.
Certainly. And we will make a motion at the water utility. Thank you so much. Good. Okay, business, peace and order bylaw. So the recommended motion there is to recommend the council make no amendments to the peace and order bylaw as recommended by staff. Okay, moved by Deputy, second by Councillor Bell. Any discussion on this one? Go ahead, CAO.
Your Worship, just to remind council that this is a process of going through all of our bylaws and policies through your 4-year term, and it seems a little unnecessary to pass motions to do nothing or to change nothing, but it's part of the process to put it on record that we have reviewed this bylaw and it will come up again in 4 years' time.
I think it's a great idea, actually. We know what we've covered. Go ahead, Councillor Bell.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that, Your Worship, thank you. There's nothing worse than bylaws that are put on the books and never thought of again. And a bylaw that isn't enforced is a bylaw that has no function. So it's really good housekeeping to continually reevaluate what's necessary and how the town is functioning. So I really appreciate the process. Thank you.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. 9B, fire inspection policy. So the recommended motion there is to recommend the council amend the fire inspection policy as recommended by the fire chief. Go ahead.
Sorry, Your Worship, we do have with us the fire chief and the fire inspector
I saw
in
that.
case council has any questions.
Okay, can I have a motion first? Okay, deputy, second by Councillor Lesser. Okay, we've got both of them here. Surely there must be a difficult question. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Sorry to disappoint you, gentlemen. It must have been very clear to us. Okay, so the operational budget. So I'm going to read, go ahead. I'll read the recommended motion.
Let's see here. The update for you.
Oh, okay.
I just put in the system, made the changes that we talked about last week, and just to, I guess, for your.
Mercy.
Yeah, I just reprinted the front page for you, just to show that the work was done. And the only difference is, again, other revenue from own sources, reduced by the 5,000 because the accounting fee for the Mariner Center has been taken out. Other transfers, the last line of income, added 25,000 there because we are moving 25,000 out of the landfill reserve to cover off on the landfill expenses that we incur every year, and that's the monitoring and that kind of stuff. And then just, I took the net of the 20 there, plus the couple thousand off of the prior surplus and added it to education, so the very last line in fiscal services, the last expense line. So that increased by a little over 22,000, and just to round down to a surplus deficit of 15,000. So those were the three changes that were made from the original presentation. Yeah, so.
Education?
Added it to the education amount. The education amount was an increase from last year's actual. We know there will be an increase. It's based on assessment, but we don't have the final number yet, so it'll probably be in the, I'm guessing at least 25,000 more, so I've added 22 to it, so we'll be closer.
You know we're spending that on a playground.
That's okay.
Okay? I need a motion.
And just once again, so people know, this can all be found online. If anyone wants to go look, these documents are there.
Yep, and I'll put the updated on there as well.
Okay, so I'll read the motion, which covers everything. So it's long, but somebody can make that. The council accept a budget with revenues in the amount of $20,014,784 and expenses of $19,999,784 for a surplus of $15,000 for its general operations for the year ended March 31st, 2024, which provides for the following rates. Residential, $169 per hundred of assessment. Commercial property, $431 per hundred of assessment. Resource general, $169 per hundred of assessment, and farmland is $216 per acre. Garbage and collection and processing, residential is $205 per dwelling unit, up to a maximum of 4 dwelling units per building. Other in excess of 4 dwelling units is deemed commercial and at owner's expense. Retail and other commercial type operators are deemed commercial and at owner's expense. The pollution control charges, the sewer, quarterly base rate, 5/8 at $36.51, 3/4 at $54.77, 1 inch is $91.29, 1.5 inch $182.57, 2 inch $292.11, 3 inch $584.23, 4 inch $912.85, 6 inches, $1,825.70, and 8 inches, $3,286.27. The effluent rate is 4.617 per 1,000 imperial gallons. The interest rate, interest at a rate of 14% per annum will be charged on delinquent accounts. Depreciation, that council approves a transfer to the capital fund in the amount of $1,950,000, and that the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer, will implement the inherent recommendations, administer and control the operating budget, and report to council as appropriate. If the CAO agrees to doing that last line, we can move forward. Okay, moved by the deputy, second by Councillor Bell. Okay, any questions? Jerry's right here. Go ahead, Councillor Heather. Whoops, Deputy Mayor.
Just a comment that after 2 years of raising taxes, this year taxes will not be raised, just so people know that.
We like it.
Yeah, that was my exact comment, just to let the public know that there is no change in residential or commercial property tax rate for this year. So we're happy to announce that.
Yeah, very happy. Actually, I said that to the CAO in the office this afternoon. I said, we didn't even discuss if we had to do that or not. We didn't. So thank you. Thank you for that. So go ahead, Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's always important to me, though, to recognize that the tax rate does not reflect what you pay in taxes. Taxes and tax rates are decoupled from each other. The important thing is how much money are we spending as a community. And it is important to notice that we have increased our budget this year by almost $2 million. You know, in the vicinity. And I think that's a reflection of the inflation that everyone has experienced across the country and across the globe. And there are a lot of factors for that, almost all of which are out of our control. But I think it's really an important thing to remember, because taxpayers who have seen an increase in their assessments are going to be paying more. So the tax rate has stayed the same because our assessment base has gone up, but we are spending more money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
that's a good point. It's a very good point, because it just puts everything into perspective. And it's funny, you know, the consideration that we're always very considerate and thoughtful of the fact that even if taxes don't go up, the costs are going up for residents and for businesses. They go up for us as well, right? Like our insurance, fuel, all those things are sky high. So the fact that we've been able to do what we've done is, yeah, Jerry, pretty good job. We have to tease Jerry. Go ahead, Ben.
And I just want to reiterate one more point that was alluded to earlier, and that is that in July of this year, this community, this town, will be operating debt-free. And I think that is an incredibly significant milestone that reflects decisions that were made long before any of us were at the council table. But paying as you go means that in a high interest rate environment, which we are in now, we are not having to penalize our taxpayers with interest payments on loans that we took out to pay for things 20 years ago. And so, I don't think it's necessarily the norm for municipal governments to operate on a as-you-go basis, but we depreciate our infrastructure as we go. And so that $1.95 million that we're transferring this year into our capital reserve is a reflection of what we know we're going to have to pay in the future. So I just want to reiterate that point again. Thanks.
So I can sort of answer your question about, is it the norm? It absolutely isn't, and the CAO knows this. So does Jerry. So I spoke at a conference on this very thing. I think it was in Ottawa. There had to be 800 people in that room, and they were all municipal leaders. And when I asked the question from the stage, how many of your municipalities fund your depreciation? 4 hands went up. Now, I'm sure there are more, and they just maybe didn't quite understand. And then they said, well, explain how it works. And I said, I guess we can I'll probably age myself. But remember, in the good old days, when mom and dad bought a refrigerator or a car or a sofa, and then they immediately started saving for when that wouldn't be good anymore. And they'd put the money in the can or whatever they would do. And so by the time you need a new sofa or refrigerator, it's there. It's that, putting money aside as you go to pay for the big things when they come up, as opposed to borrowing money, which, isn't quite so good, but sometimes you have to do that. So it's a really good thing. Did you want to add anything to that? You good?
No, I think I would echo council's comments regarding the Director of Finance and the job that he's done for us in not only preparing this budget, but I think guiding the ship fiscally and providing good advice to council. So great job, Jerry.
Thank
Keep it
you.
up.
We appreciate you. We do. Okay, so if there's no more questions, and if there are, okay, so we're about to vote on the operational budget. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Unanimous. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. Organizational grants 2023. This is spring, and we know that in the fall we'll have another intake. The recommended motion there is to recommend that council confirm the organizational grants 2023 for the spring intake as presented. Okay, Councillor Heather, second by the deputy. Any discussion on this one? Go ahead.
Once again, just to let the public know, we're giving out almost $35,000, and we had $118,000 worth of requests. So a lot of time and energy goes into making sure that we can support those things that we can. Some things are duplicated, so it might make it a little easier to move funds into something that we feel is already getting taken care of, but no disrespect to any group out there that applied. It's $5,000 max now. So these are more of a kind of help out grant. These aren't like the do all say all. And just thank you to those organizations and different people who apply to that. This money goes out to making our town a better place to be. And it's no easy decision. If there was the money tree that everyone thinks we have out back, we'd fund 100%, but this is a hard thing to do. And to get to 35,000 from 118 was, I know I did a lot of scratching and back
brutal.
and forth. So thanks to Lindsay for patience for me sending that in, and appreciate it though. But a lot of work does go into this, and we appreciate everyone who applies and the difference they make in our community with these funds.
Well said, thank you. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. We've got correspondence request to present Mersey Tobiatic Research Institute. 1, 2, 3, so we got 3 requests. I mean, we can move them into like June, July, August, wherever. Okay, so the first one is the Mersey Tobiatic Research Institute. What would you like to do with this one? Go ahead, Councillor Beth.
Yes, Your Worship. I would make a motion that we invite them to come before the Committee of the Whole at its regular June meeting.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Request to present the Net Zero Atlantic. Go ahead, Councillor.
Hi, thank you, Your Worship. I've worked with these guys over the past while, and they were asking me about it, so I'd like to make the motion that Net Zero Atlantic makes this presentation at the earliest convenience, whenever it works.
Okay, thank you. Second by Councillor Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And we request to present YHS students waste management project. Who is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? This is for the waste management project for the students? Oh, doesn't matter, she just calls and gets them in. Get them in. Yep. We good? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. No additions? Wow, okay. Do we have in camera? No in camera? Can we do that now? We can do that right now. Yep, okay, so motion to adjourn.